Okay, all right. Welcome everyone to the Pension Advisory Committee's January 2021 meeting. I see we have one guest. Nancy is here today, so I'm glad to see Nancy again today.
Just to break in a little bit, Ed, Nancy and I are now co-liaison for the Pension Advisory Committee. So she and I are tag teaming it now.
Yeah, great.
Excellent.
Very good. I'm glad to have you both.
I'm looking forward to joining everyone, and I've been exposed to COVID, which is why you have my video, because I'm quarantining in my basement at the moment. So
Well, that's exciting.
you got my picture of me in the car.
Yeah, wow. So I hope you feeling all right. How long you had it?
No, I haven't. I just was exposed to
Oh,
someone.
you exposed. I got it.
I'm fine. I have had no. I'm like on day 5. I've had no symptoms.
Okay.
Good.
Glad to hear it.
But thank you. Looking forward to working with all of you.
Fantastic. All right. So Stephanie, correct me if I'm wrong. I know this is a reorganization meeting, so I guess it's okay to approve the prior meeting minutes first. Yeah. Oh, I can't hear you, Stephanie. I think you're on mute.
Yes, you can go ahead and do the minutes as a group members and then go to the reorg.
Okay. All right.
I have two comments on the minutes, if I may, Stephanie. Page 2, paragraph 3, third sentence attributable to me. Just for clarity purposes, should read MSCI ACWI, ACWI, IMI, and not the MSCI ACWI.
Okay, Tom, can you just, we keep getting that's confusing. IMI?
Yeah.
Should it be reversed then?
Basically, yes. Yeah. So
Okay.
MSCI ACWI,
So it should be okay, so it should just be reversed.
MSCI ACWI.
Okay, just reverse it. Okay, that's fine.
And I believe the same page, paragraph 6, again attributable to me. The line should read: there are ETFs for the MSCI ACWI, but not the MSCI ACWI IMI.
Okay.
A little bit of semantics in there, but that makes it clear.
A lot of letters.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And when I dictate it for my administrator, I don't think she's not familiar with the terminology. So
You do
I
a
think,
striking job, and then nevertheless.
but all right, we'll fix that.
Go ahead. I would make them. Go ahead, Colleen.
Well, I actually, it might be related to dictation. That first paragraph under old business on page 1, she says the normal weighting, it's WEIGHTING, sorry. She writes WAITING. So it's weight as in a measure.
Okay. Do you know what page that's on, Colleen?
Page 1 in the very first paragraph, it says under investment objectives, page 5, the normal weighting.
Okay.
That's probably the same issue.
Oh, yeah.
dictation.
Yeah. Got it.
The only
Fix it.
other couple, I had a question. It's the second page. It says, Mr. Denton indicated that he would push back on an inquire of the advisor and going forward. Doesn't seem to be like a complete sentence. I'm just not sure I don't recall the context, Ed. Maybe you do.
I don't either. I
wasn't
apologize.
sure what that
I
was
missed that.
referring to. Yeah. I mean, I'm fine if you strike it because I'm just not sure what it's even saying, but Ed, that's your call.
Yeah. I'm good with that.
There's a line again, it says Ms. Mullen suggested going back to the advisor and ask for her to use the ACWI versus the IMI. I really just said I wanted them as the advisor to tell us why they're using one over the other, so we could document what our advisor is recommending. So I don't necessarily want to ask her to. I mean, we can ask her to use.
Well, actually, no, we actually did, And I think we did get the response.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and then in the emails they sent back with the, I think it was in the email that I failed to send some of you last month. I think it was in that email.
Okay, well then you could just strike that sentence
Okay.
then. I'll go back and look at the email. I don't remember it being,
Are we deleting that
yeah,
sentence? Okay.
yeah. And then, I'm sorry, but then I did read, and I think this all does come down to translation because it is technical. Under that, it says Mr. Denton indicated knowing the discount rates of actual returns. So I think what Ed was saying is knowing the discount rates relative to actual returns helps us understand, the impact of the discount rate and the deficit.
Yep.
So if you even replace of with relative to, I think
Okay.
that makes that sentence make more sense.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody else would agree or disagree, but those are just notes.
Yeah,
I
no, that
had.
makes more sense. Thank you for spotting that.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, sorry.
That's
Other
fine.
than that, I'm good with minutes.
Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the minutes with the changes?
So moved.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so we've approved the minutes. All right, so I guess now it's time for the reorganization. Stephanie, you have to remind me how this works.
You need to have someone kind of act as the moderator here to offer up the position of chairmanship and seek nominations for the chairman and the vice chairman positions.
Could you serve as that?
Sure,
role?
not a problem. For the position of chairman, are there any nominations?
I'd like to nominate Ed Denton.
I'll second.
Are there any other nominations? If not, we will close nominations. And if we could, all those in favor of Mr. Denton serving as chairman, say aye.
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 Passes. Congratulations, Ed.
All right, well, thank you very much. And I just want to reiterate that this shouldn't be a lifelong sentence. I think we definitely should rotate this around. So we can kind of revisit this 12 months from now.
Okay. We need a motion to nominate anyone for vice chairman. Are there any nominations?
Okay, I nominate Sinclair.
Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
sec-
Tom?
Sorry.
I'll take Tom on that one.
Okay, sure.
He buzzed in. We'll say he buzzed in first. Are there any other nominations for vice chair? Okay, we'll close nominations. All those in favor of Sinclair serving as vice chairman, say aye.
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 Okay, motion passes. Ed
Thank you.
Sinclair, congratulations. Ed,
Congratulations.
turn the
you,
meeting
Steph.
back over to you as chair.
Great. All right, so moving on to old business. Looks like we're in good shape with the IPS. Has everyone had a chance to take a look at Tom's final draft?
Yes.
Yes.
Right, well, thanks. Any comments, questions, suggestions, edits?
I know it was a lot of work and we've gone through a number of drafts. I'd just like to thank Tom for all of his hard work. He did a great job.
No, getting to the finish line is the accomplishment. So no, I'm glad we're there.
Thank you, Tom. That was excellent. Excellent work.
So I guess next steps are to be discussed with this
Yes,
document.
Stephanie, my understanding is, so we'll is at the next Board of Supervisors meeting, I'll basically, I'll be giving a short presentation. I'll briefly discuss what an IPS is and the fact that we're delivering it to the, we're suggesting that a change be made to the IPS, and that, like I said, goes as the Board of Supervisors will then give it to the solicitor, he'll review it. And then I guess eventually the Board of Supervisors will vote. Is that correct?
Yes, it will be on the agenda for the 19th, Ed.
Okay, so I have put in a presentation, a quick, Tom helped me out with an overview of what the IPS is. So I have a presentation, which I apologize. I thought I sent it to everyone, but apparently I looked at my email and I hadn't sent it. So I sent it out to everyone, except with the exception of Nancy. So Nancy, I'll have to send it to you as well, the draft.
I have it. I have a copy.
Okay, oh, great. Okay, good.
Thank you.
So Stephanie, am I able to, well, let's finish up with the IPS first. So that's my understanding of the process. I'll draft a cover note, which will more or less reflect what's in that presentation. And then we'll hand the cover note along with the draft IPS to the Board of Supervisors next week, and then we'll move on from there.
Okay.
So, all right, I want to thank Tom as well. I learned a lot. I think I went into this exercise with one sort of understanding, and I think we came out with a great product. All right, so moving on to new business. Stephanie, am I able to?
Yes, you are.
Okay, all right, so I'm going to share my desktop. All right, can everyone see it?
Yes.
All right, so this is what I put together for, when is it? The 18th, I think it is, Stephanie?
The 19th, Tuesday
19th.
evening, the 19th at 7 p.m.
7 p.m. Okay. All right, so this is what I put together. There it goes. All right, so the two agenda items are the update on the IPS, update on the pension monitoring reports and the portfolio review meetings, and then the proposed revisions to the IPS. All right, this is our objective, one of the PAC's objectives for 2020. To meet semi-annually with Deb Brady and annually with Kennedy. I think we all talked about it. I think it was last time. Last meeting and the meeting before is we all agreed on this timing of meetings. So every March, the PAC and the investment advisor will do an in-depth review of the prior year's performance. That'll happen before the investment advisor's annual presentation to the Board of Supervisors. And then the investment advisor, the pension advisor, and which is Kennedy, and us will present the pension plan financials and the annual performance to the Board of Supervisors. And then every August, we'll have an in-depth review of the 6-month results through June. One of the things that we haven't gotten to yet is, we're going to get to this once we get the year-end report from Brady is put together a executive summary for the Board of Supervisors, PAC, and the employees. Basically, I'm thinking, and I'd be interested to see what everyone else is thinking as well, is we'll take a handful of things. We have some graphs on the financials that we get from Kennedy, and then some top-level performance metrics from Brady, and that's basically what I would envision, and maybe some commentary, and that we'll work with Brady on that. And then obviously, we'll have ongoing revisions and improvements to the report as we see, as needed. So I threw this in, and this is one of the things that I wanted to, why I thought was a good idea for us to present to the Board of Supervisors. One of the reasons why is we finally got these results back from Deb Brady after trying for multiple years, right, Bob?
Yeah.
So and so I think one of the I have in the first bullet. So these figures should have been presented to the Board of Supervisors by the investment advisor regularly, and they weren't. And I think Deb's done a reasonable job. But my biggest complaint with her is that the Board of Supervisors should have seen this data. And as we all can see right here, is that the 10-year performance is for both plans is 6.58, which is well below the 8%. And to be perfectly honest, it just isn't that good. And then another thing I'm going to point out to remind the Board of Supervisors is that the expected returns for the next 10 years per Deb Reedy and the PAC and other sources is that they were expecting 6% return, which is why we've recommended that the township adopt a gradually lower the discount rate to 6% over the next couple of years, and finally reaching 6% by 2028. Any comments on this slide? Okay. Moving on. All right. So another objective we had was to review and revise the investment policy. The last time it was updated was 2011. And so, why should the investment policy be revised? One of the things is it's gotten a little stale. Market conditions have changed, and increased complexity of the investment landscape dictates a more diligent and dynamic review of the IPS. And also that the IPS should be considered a living document and should be reviewed annually, updated as appropriate to meet the township's needs. All right, the purpose of an IPS, and thanks to Tom for putting together a lot of this, is one of the key terms is in the following description is that the investor is the Doylestown Township. So the IPS is a critical document that communicates the investor's expectations, objectives, and guidelines for the investment of the pension plan's portfolio assets. The IPS is not a contract or an agreement, but simply a roadmap with respect to investment philosophy and the desired objectives for the plan's investable assets. The IPS sets forth the investment structure, detailing appropriate asset classes, expectations, and appropriate ranges of exposure for the portfolios. The IPS encourages effective communication between the advisor, the PAC, and the investor, and creates a framework for a well-diversified investable asset allocation that achieves an acceptable long-term returns at a risk level of risk suitable to the investor. And finally, while the IPS establishes a broad asset allocation, is expected that the advisor will act in a fiduciary capacity with regard to all specific portfolio decision implemented. Implicit in this expectation is that the investor duly delegates investment management responsibility to the advisor with respect to decisions impacting the portfolio. So any comments or questions on that? Okay, moving on. In terms of next steps, regarding the investment policy is our understanding is the township solicitor will review this document and recommend changes as appropriate, and then the Board of Supervisors will vote on the IPS, revised IPS. Go ahead.
Quick question. Would the Board of Supervisors see the IPS before the town solicitor or after?
Same
That's a good
time,
question.
because they'll have
Same
to
time,
direct
okay.
him. So it'll be in the board, it'll be in the board's packet for their meeting on Tuesday, so they'll have that on Friday. And then they will need to review it, and the solicitor will also receives the same packet of information. And, they need to direct that he move forward in a review of that and everything. Would make
Okay.
sense.
Okay, when does that packet go out? Because I owe you a cover.
Friday.
Stephanie, Friday? Okay,
Friday.
I'll get it, yeah.
And if you have your PowerPoint, I would like to include that with it.
Okay, good, yeah.
They
I
can
do that.
review that as well. So
Perfect.
they understand, where this is all coming from and everything like that.
Perfect, we can do that, yeah. All right, and then finally is the fiscal 2020 pension portfolio review will happen in March 2021. And we'll be working with Brady and Kennedy to prepare for that performance review over the next couple of months. And that's basically it. Questions or comments?
It's just a comment. Think if I were the board of supervisors, I'd want to maybe have a bullet or two that told me the difference between the 2011 policy and the 2021 policy. Like none of us really have spent much time with 2011 policy, but you know, did we just clean up the language or is there anything significant? I know we put in there a goal to reduce, you know, the rate down to 6, but maybe just a few bullets of what are the major changes between the two policies for them.
That's a good point.
I like that, Bob. I think we had a discussion at the last Board of Supervisors meeting about one of the proposed changes, and that it was similarly was asked for like a red line version. So that would be really helpful.
Yeah, and I don't think you have to get that extensive, maybe just a couple bullet points here, the major differences.
Okay, great. Tom, would you be able to help me with that?
In some of the material I sent to you, Ed, I did mention, I did touch on this, and I'm looking for it. I don't know if you have
Yeah.
it.
So one of the things, Tom, though, is I did look at that. You did mention is that, and I don't know if that's accurate. I know the draft we were working on was drafted by Deb Breedy, but I don't know if the 2011 was drafted by Deb Breedy. Was the last one drafted by Deb Breedy, Stephanie?
So I don't, it would have been reviewed by the pension committee at the time.
Right, yeah,
Oh.
but yes, yeah, so that's the one thing that's, I don't know if anybody
I mean,
remembers.
we can include the 2011 as a reference.
Yeah.
I mean, that may be the, so the board will have the 2011 IPS, the proposed 21 IPS, and the PowerPoint.
Yeah, now I know we were working off of the draft that Deb, what we're talking about a year ago with Deb Breedy. She had offered to make a draft, and that was the draft we were working off of. But I don't know 100%. I imagine we probably have that 2011 draft. Where could we find a copy of that, just in case Tom and I don't have it?
Ken will probably have it in the files.
Ken, would you be able to email it to Tom and I?
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Okay, thanks.
Not a problem.
Two of the points I made to you, Ed, and this was an email between you, from me to you on this topic. Second and third bullet point in that email, I did mention the key difference between the present IPS and the current proposed IPS is that the former was written by the advisor. The latter is authored by the investor with input from the
Yeah,
PAC.
but I don't know if we know, I don't know if we know that. What we were working off was what Deb Breedy sent us 12 months ago, not 10 years ago.
Okay. And I go on to say that the current proposed incorporates significant language from the current IPS in its framework, plus further elaboration with regards to specific needs and desires with respect to reporting and accountability of performance.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a couple of things we did, including, I think the last one allowed some type of financial instruments which we've removed.
Yes.
So we can take a look at it. Once we get that from Tom, we can, sorry, from Ken, we can take a quick look at that.
It is tedious to Bob's point. It is tedious to go line by line on the differences.
I think we can capture a couple of key themes. I think one of them certainly was the I think invest in real estate or something like that.
We struck out alternatives as a group.
Correct, you're right. Alternative
Private equity, hedge funds, but I'll do whatever I'm asked.
Yeah, we can pick it. I think to Bob's point, I think we only need 3 or 4 bullets.
Yeah,
rolling
and
design,
one, you
and I
know,
think there
one
was-
of them is the discount rate recommendation.
Right, that would be one as well. Yep. So we can take a look at that if Ken could send us that draft. Okay, anything else on this presentation?
And I'm sorry, can you go back to that first slide that you were showing? When you said that
Which
one
one?
with the next page
Next
with the data. So when you're saying these figures should have been presented to the BOS by the investment advisor regularly, you're essentially saying the cumulative returns. Because like every
Correct.
year she'll give them returns, but they weren't contextually given and, you know,
Yeah,
over last year.
the 3, 5, and 10-year returns
Right.
were not given. She
Well-
would talk about the prior year, but she wouldn't talk about the time weighted returns. We never saw those.
Nobody ever asked for them either.
Well,
And that's why we formed your committee, because you have that knowledge to be able to know to
Well,
ask for something
But
like
she
this.
she should have known to have given it to
Yeah,
us.
I mean, you know, but it, you know, and that's all water under the bridge too.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're not trying to formulate or like put in some kind of statement that she's never given us returns. Absolutely, when you provide returns, there's 3, 5, and 10 years in there. But what I think what you're saying is those weren't, you know, like the calendar year over year was not provided, because when you're shown a 3-year return number, it's that year to date. But I think what you're saying here is like she was not showing cumulatively how we were doing year over year. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, basically the table above it, the time the 3, 5, and 10, she would talk to the year results, but she would never talk to the 3, 5, and 10-year results.
But those numbers were provided in the material.
No, they were never provided.
So Colleen, you're looking for softening that first bullet point.
Well, I don't
That's it.
necessarily, I'd have to go back. I don't have like a packet in front of me from prior. Here's one. I have one December 31st of 19. Okay.
Okay.
When I look at performance on the portfolio. I mean, I'm just trying to see where you're saying we never had 3, 5, 10 years. I mean, that's a requirement in performance reporting.
Right, yeah, but I mean, I can't see how I missed it, but we never had it.
I'm just looking here. I'm just shocked to see if we would never have had performance on. Well, I guess you're saying the portfolio as a whole. So that anytime
Correct.
you look at mutual fund reporting, you have to under the.
Yeah, under the individual investments, we had it.
Okay,
not the
that's what you're
aggregate.
saying. So the aggregate portfolio,
Correct.
she has not shown us 3, 5, 10-year returns. That's what you're
correct.
saying. Okay.
That's exactly right.
Okay. I just want to make sure, you know, it's just hard to say. Okay, so I would just clarify that, because if
Yeah, I
I'm a
can do
board
that.
of
I can do that.
supervisors member, I'm not even thinking that like Steph said, that I even should be shown this to even ask for it. So we should.
Why not?
I mean,
I review my investment advisor and I get this.
I mean, I'm not trying to say people don't have investment experience, but some people are not as, you know, inclined to think about things that way. They just are given the information and they take the information. They may not seek more in-depth information. So just point I'm trying to make is to say something like these figures will be requested to be provided to the Board of Supervisors for the portfolio as an aggregate.
I can change that, but you know, again, I felt I can let me come up with some wording and I'll send it out. But you know, to be honest with you, is that we have been asking, Bob, Joe, and I have been asking for this
Right.
for 3 years,
Right.
and you know, it was difficult to get. I mean, you know, am I wrong, Bob? I mean, we have been asking for this, right?
Yep.
Well, yeah, and I guess that's not what I'm saying that we should or shouldn't. I'm just saying, like, I just, to say, these figures should have been presented to the Board of Supervisors, it just struck me. So I just want to make sure to clarify, if
Yeah,
someone is sitting in my shoes, but doesn't have the experience that on the committee we have, to say, you know, they're provided for the individual funds, but not the portfolio in aggregate. It's just, it's probably splitting hairs at this point.
Yeah, well, I can add the portfolio in aggregate. I mean, that's a good
Right.
point. Is, you know, I mean, and she had, you know, I went back and reviewed the minutes going back at least 10 years. And the pension committee meeting, and Kennedy and Breedy periodically did lightly suggest, at least that that's the way it was wording was in minutes, that the township should consider lowering the discount rate.
Oh, absolutely.
But you know, if I think if she had presented something like this, I think it would have been a little clear to the Board of Supervisors at the time why it was a good idea. It was just, you know, the sense I got was just sort of a passing comment back then. And I know the meetings that I've attended with Breedy and Kennedy since then, you know, those were kind of passing comments. There wasn't a lot, there wasn't anything given to substantiate or to explain why it was important.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that. Yep. Yeah, I guess I'm just making sure the audience understands the statement you're trying to make, is that these numbers should have been provided for the portfolio as a whole. Sure,
Right.
they're provided for the individual funds because that's what FINRA requires them to do.
Right,
But they've never been put in the context of the entire portfolio.
right. And even Warminster's, they had theirs included it. Now they moved to a new investment advisor, so they weren't able to go back 3, 5, and 10 years because I think they only been with their investment advisor for
Right.
a year or two.
Yeah. I
But
remember you saying.
they had spaces in the report that showed that.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
I apologize. I mean, it's, to me, it's a, you know, as you can tell, it's a little bit of a hot button because I'm, you know, I think it would have been helpful for a lot of people involved with the township's pensions to have seen this data.
I agree.
And hopefully the message will be clear in terms of why it's
Yeah.
important to lower the discount rate. Okay, so I'll make those edits. I'll send out a revised document. Thanks for the suggestion. Okay, so any other comments on this? Okay. I'm going to stop sharing, and then the next item on our agenda is the objective. So I'm going to share what I put together. Oops. Let's see if I can get this right. Here we go. Okay. Can everybody see my desktop?
Yes.
You got it.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So in our last meeting, we had a short discussion about what our objectives goals should be for 2021. You know, many of them weren't. Many of them it's been things we've been talking about before. So I put pen and the paper and drafted these out. But the first one is obviously something we've been talking about for quite a long time. That being the RFP. So I think it's pretty self-explanatory. If any, you know, if you want to tweak the words at all, I'm good with that. So we go with the first objective.
Mhm.
The second objective is something we've talked about as well, and that being the actions connected with the pension plans. But I kind of framed it within ongoing efforts by the Township Management and Ways and Means Committee to identify cost savings and revenue opportunities for the township. I mean, to me, the pension and you know the cost savings, et cetera, are sort of part of the bigger picture that the township should be looking at, and trade-offs would have to be made concerning employee compensation and cost savings and stuff like that. And there's even things outside of obviously personnel costs. So I framed it that way. And as well as making it more of a joint effort, not just us working on this. Any comments on that?
Yeah, I think, Ed, that it would be good to see that what our plan is versus, some peer districts or peer townships, and then kind of set up a spreadsheet so we can have an idea what the difference in the plans are. And then there are some things that will have minimal savings that we should probably just pass on.
Right.
So.
Right, and then the aspect, I mean, I did forward this draft to Brenda. Again, the township's getting, I don't imagine, the township's gonna have to make a decision in terms of what they want to go after and what they don't want to go after. But I think it just is not, it's just not the way, it's not just a pension committee that should be looking at this. Is really everyone involved in the township really should be looking at cost savings, opportunities, and things like that. Any other comments? All right, moving on to the third bullet. This is just continuing our semi-annual reviews with Brady. But the key ones in here is, the key component is we haven't really come up with this executive summary report. So that's kind of the one final step on this. And certainly that the executive summary report would include that previous slide we were talking about, which talks about the aggregate returns for the portfolios over different points in time, and reinforcing the connection with the discount rate, as well as some of the other reports that we've. Anyway, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Any comments on this one? And then finally, something I think we all feel passionately about, the continuing education programs for the Board of Supervisors and the PAC, to make sure that we're all up to speed in sort of the key issues and concepts. And obviously that's what that PowerPoint presentation is intended to do. It's just, keep the pensions and because it's a very important issue for the township, and obviously for the employees too. We want to make sure that they've worked really hard, and they should be getting their pension. So we want to make sure that the township is making sure that their commitments are met. Anyway, that's basically it on that. Any comments on that? Okay, anything we should, well, I personally think this is an awful lot to get done by a bunch of volunteers over the next 12 months. But I'll ask anyway, is there something that we are missing here, or I tried to put this in priority order as well. Certainly the biggest one is going to be the RFP.
So the only thing I'll say with the RFP is we're going to assist with evaluation of the apps. Are we going to assist in drafting the actual RFP? Oh, I'm sorry. I see work to draft the RFP. Okay.
Correct.
I just wanted to make sure we weren't precluded from, by saying this, that we couldn't help.
Yeah,
Stephanie
no,
and her staff.
we're volunteers.
Right.
So, it's really the township, even
That has
as
to
evidenced
figure
by
it
the
out.
solicitor and stuff like that. That's all
Right.
going to have to be, but we can certainly, assist like we're assisting.
Right. Okay.
That's
yeah.
at least that's what I was thinking.
Yep.
Any comments?
Good.
And there are several out there, Ed, that we can take a look at. I mean, it's not anything unique. Other townships have already done this.
Right.
Yeah, Stephanie shared a bunch.
Oh.
I think.
Yeah, I shared a bunch
Yeah.
earlier. Thank you, Colleen.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
so-
actually printed a few
Yeah.
recently, and they're extensive and tedious documents.
Mhm.
Yes, they are.
It makes the IPS look like a cakewalk.
It does. Well, I can see, Tom, you're first in line to help out on this, right?
Well, I came from the king of RFPs, and we had a team of 5 people full time. This is
All
all
right.
we did at the UN,
Wow.
Mhm.
and I would only get involved at the very last minute, usually
Right.
the evaluative phase, and at that. But I left all the language behind. So will we, as the PAC develop the draft?
Well, Stephanie, well, you know, we're all kind of new at this, and certainly this committee is
written
new,
one.
so. Sorry, what?
I said, I've never written one for a pension plan. So,
Well, you've written RFPs, right?
yeah, but for other things, you know,
Right.
but I think utilizing, I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel. You know, I think we look through the ones that we've gotten copies of and we vet out the ones that we, you know, like from each one, and, you know, we find the pages and start cutting and pasting, you know, a document together.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I heard once that smart people copy good ideas, really smart people copy lots of good real ideas. So we don't need to reinvent the wheel. So I agree with that. That should be the approach. So we'll have to figure out how we operationalize this.
Yeah, I mean, I think having I think it works better to maybe, you know, like form a little committee.
Right.
And, you know, obviously Tom's got that experience. I have a new special projects coordinator who can jump in and assist in, you know, being sort of the manager of the document itself, you know, and we feed that and they start writing it up.
And I agree. And I think Bob as well. Bob, you have some experience in this, right?
I do.
So you know, I think you know, I think we can pool our resources and work together on this. So
Yep.
I think next meeting, I think we'll do a deeper dive on this and come up with a game plan. All right.
Yep.
So any other comments on the? Well, yeah, any comments on this? So I think I guess not. So we'll move on. We'll move on from that. So Stephanie, you sent out an email I forwarded to everyone. I'll see if I can pull it up real quickly about the hearing commission reviews. So I'll pull it up, but maybe you can kind of talk everyone through it. All right, so let's say stop sharing. And here it is. Okay, everyone see it?
Yes.
Okay, so Stephanie, why don't you tell everyone what this is about?
Sure. So typically the boards and committee chairs attend a board of supervisors meeting. Usually it's like the first Tuesday in February, and everybody makes a presentation to the board on what did you do in 2020 and what goals and what are you going to accomplish as a board and committee in the new year. Because of COVID and the board has gone to one meeting a month, we thought it would be best if each board and committee chair just did a video, either recorded a video or did like a Zoom like this where I would record it for them. And then the telecommunications advisory board will string them all together to make it look like it was one meeting, or we can use them individually as well for each group. I also prepared, because some people put together fancy videos, other committees, even though we try to keep it to 3 minutes, end up talking about all the things they did in about 20 minutes. Others have a short, just get up and say a few words, and others do PowerPoints, short, long, medium. So I thought that if we kind of kept everybody just a simple PowerPoint that each committee could use, that would identify, you know, and the wording is just an example, but, you know, on the first one is what's the impact on the community did you have? Did you have events? What tasks did you work on? What documents did you create? So events aren't really something for your committee, but you guys had a lot of tasks that you completed and documents that you know, obviously this IPS.
Yep.
And And just so you know, Nancy's got to sign off. She has another committee meeting
Okay.
to get to. So she's jumping off. And so it's just, trying to kind of keep everybody kind of corralled in on that like three-minute quick presentation, and also looking for consistency. I know Judy Hendricks was like, oh, thank God. She was so happy I sent this. She's like, this helps a lot for Planning Commission, as an example. So this is just sort of a guide so that we don't have 25-page PowerPoint presentations or 30-minute speeches or some fancy video, in a sense. And that they, so we're just trying to be consistent, be concise, hit the highlights for your committee of what was accomplished, and and you've already done your goals for 2021.
Yep.
And then if you want to skip to the other ones, the community collaboration outside organizations. I know you've looked at other municipalities. You've obviously continued to collaborate with the consultants, and obviously you've worked with the Ways and Means Committee.
Yep.
So,
That's good. Yep.
And then the next one, you guys don't really have a budget. I mean, this kind of plays to some of the other committees. Some of them have their own budgets. They've gotten grants. They've gotten special awards. If this isn't applicable, you can kind of skip it, or look at it from, what you may want to talk about there. Maybe change that slide a little bit.
We can change that one. We'll try to keep it to 5 slides, but change
Yeah,
it.
and then the last one is just which you've already done, which is your list of goals,
Okay.
and maybe, and then I would interview you, Ed, and you would kind of share your screen, and you would, talk about, the information on the slides.
Okay.
And we'd try to keep it to around three minutes. I mean, I guess we'll probably end up pushing it more like 3 to 5, but
Right.
I don't want you to feel like you have to stand up or sit there and talk for 50 minutes,
Yeah, no, that's just good. This is good. This is really good.
Yeah.
So, and this is kind of consistent with a guy I used to work with at Merck, Rich Patrolak, who's in charge of managed care area. He had a 5-slide rule. No presentation could be more than 5 slides. So
right, and your one is your board, the name of your board.
Yeah, well, that's true. Right. There you go. So it's only 4 slides.
Yeah, so it's really only 4 slides,
Yeah.
but yeah. So and you can change the coloring or the background. I just
Yep.
And we have no budget, so it's 3 slides.
exactly. You have
Well,
no budget.
we can talk about your vacation plans, Tom.
Yeah, but I know that. I mean, but a lot of them have gotten grants. They're applying, fundraising. Some do fundraising.
So what's the time, Stephanie? What's the timing on this?
I'd like to try to start getting them in by February 5th,
Okay.
beginning of February.
Yeah.
And if you want to try to do the video yourself, feel free. If not, call me. We'll do a quick Zoom, and you'll talk, and we'll just take it from there.
Okay. All right. So what I'll do is I'll take a quick crack. I mean, I think we got this more or less 90% done based on the stuff we've done already. And so I'll just take a quick crack at put something together. And I'll send it out to everybody, and we'll try to get that done over the next couple of weeks. It's pretty self-explanatory, I think. Okay. Any other thoughts? I think did we miss anything? Anything else we got to cover? So maybe since the RFP is going to occupy a lot of our time, maybe we'll give everyone a break for the rest of the 40 minutes of our meeting, and everyone can have an early dinner. All right.
Go to another Zoom.
Go to another Zoom.
It'll give me an hour to get home,
There you go.
and then have another one. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
So nothing else. All right. So thanks, everyone. I will make the changes we discussed, and we'll send it out. And on to February.
Very good. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.